Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about church structures and what they are. So, there are three main types of church structures. The first one being Episcopal. Episcopal church structures are where there is one head of the church, kind of like the Pope, and then he has people underneath him that he is appointed, like bishops and people like that. And then there are people still underneath them, and it goes down in the power chain. There's a very clear hierarchy and a very clear form of power. The problem with this type of structure, though, is that there's no accountability at the top, because the top doesn't answer to anybody. He makes all of the rules. The next type of church structure is congregational. In a congregational structure, everybody gets a vote. Everybody gets to voice an opinion and put in their vote, and they all get to see what everybody else thinks. The main problem with this, however, is that it only really works for small churches, because there's just fewer people, and so there's fewer votes. Whereas with a big church, it could take a while to get through some of the things. The last one is Presbyterian. In a Presbyterian church, the congregation elects representatives, and the representatives make decisions on the congregation's behalf. The problem with this, however, is that the congregation can become resentful to the representatives because they don't like the decisions that the representatives are making on their behalf. So those are what you gotta look out for in those types of structures. Now, a lot of AG churches actually combine the last two, because it both makes it so that there are representatives and that there's a smaller voting pool, but it also focuses on the congregation and ultimately gives power to the congregation. In that system, there is a lot of accountability because of the fact that there are so many people, and there's not just like a clear leader. It's not just like, oh, the pastor of your church is your leader. No, there's a very clear, the congregation is who is making the decisions, and the representatives are just speaking on their behalf. And so in that way, it's a lot cleaner and nicer, and it doesn't create a hostile environment when you combine those last two. Now, I'm not saying that the others are bad. Like the Catholic Church and their Pope, that's not necessarily bad. You just need to make sure that who you have as the top is a very trustworthy and somebody that you know is not gonna go crazy with power. They gotta be somebody that you know is a safe person. Somebody that, honestly, I would say somebody that you voted in, kind of like the president. But that's just my opinion on that. And then the other two aren't bad in their own right. With a big church, you can do the congregational style one. You just would need a lot of time. It's like voting night here in the US. It takes a long time to count all those ballots that are coming through, but it is possible to do that. It is possible to make decisions like that in a big setting with votes. And it is okay if your church is a Presbyterian church, if that is the structure of your church. Because having representatives is great and fine, and it can be less stressful to have 10 representatives instead of an entire room full of 50 people that's trying to make decisions. So for those reasons, these all are great types of church building to do. They just all come with their own faults and their own challenges and everything about them. But that's just because we're all human and no one is perfect. And we just need to learn how to make sure we still have accountability within our churches. I hope this helped you understand I hope this helped you understand church structures and how they work a bit better. And I hope that you now feel like you understand what your church is a bit better. Bye.